Hello fellow cyborgs, I am here to do a tag video. The Bookish Beginnings tag was created by Lauren over at Reads and Daydreams, and I was tagged by Holly at Library at the Edge of the World. I will link both of their videos down below. Quick thanks to Lauren for making this a fun tag, and to Holly for tagging me. Number 1. Tell us what you loved to read as a child. Since I was a wee bairn, I was obsessed with mermaids. To this day, I still really love them, but it was obsession for a long time until I was probably 13. Consequently, I wanted to be reading books with mermaids in them, and let me tell you, in the pre-internet days, this was a tough thing to figure out, especially when you're limited to the one children's section of your local bookstore. I was desperate for mermaids, so any book that had even like a hint of a mermaid on the cover, I picked up and tried and hoped that mermaids were a thing. A couple of those were The Search for Delicious, which I don't think really had mermaids in it at all. The Island of the Aunts by Eva Ibbotson, which is so fantastic, but still not a lot of mermaids, and Goddess of the Night, which had no mermaids in it at all. However, that was the first book in the Daughter of the Moon series, which just raged through my middle school reading experience. So, you win some, you lose some. I will eventually be uploading a video of the highlights of my mermaid book collection, so stay tuned for that. 2. What was the first adult fiction book you read? I'm pretty sure the first adult fiction book I attempted to read was given to me by my grandmother, and it ended up being a explicit romance book, so I didn't finish it, and I was very confused about what was happening. I think I was like 11 at the time. Then after that, the first adult book that I actually successfully finished was 1984 by George Orwell, and that also had a couple sex scenes in it, and it was also really depressing, and I read it for a project that didn't end up being a thing for school, so I was very, very not impressed by my first foray into adult fiction, but fortunately for me, it got better. 3. What was the first classic book you read not because of school? I think that would have to be Alexandre Dumas' The Three Musketeers. I read this because my best friend told me that I should. She was right. I remember really enjoying it. I also remember feeling really smug about reading it at the time. I was 19 and in community college, and I don't think anyone else around me was reading books like that. And I still kind of feel like that when I read classics to this day, just like, look at me, reading a classic on my own, not assigned. I'm pretty awesome. I know it's kind of terrible, but it's true. Question 4. Tell us about a book that introduced you to a new style or a new genre that you liked. I would have to say The Fire Rose by Mercedes Lackey introduced me to the fact that the sci-fi fantasy section in a bookstore and library is probably where I should start looking for things that would interest me. This is the first book in the Elemental Masters series, which loosely retells fairy tales, but then puts it in the world of the Elemental Masters, who are magicians and mages and masters who control elements. So if you have the gift, there's a certain element that you are most attuned to, and you can do magic surrounding it. It is an ongoing series, has probably 10 books or so now. I petered off at around book 7, but I still want to read book 8, Home for the Sea or Home of the Sea or whatever, because there may be mermaids in it. But it was a really fun, easy to get into fantasy series that wasn't Tolkien and had some cute romance in it and fairy tales. And I think Catherine M. Valente's The Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairyland in a Ship of Her Own Making was the first book where the author's writing style really came to the forefront. It was the first book that introduced me to an author who I will read whatever they write because of how they write. That really hadn't been a big part of my reading experience before. As you know, mermaid books, so the topic was the emphasis for a long time, and that continued to be so. The topic was the important part of my reading enjoyment, but now I'm slowly tiptoeing into understanding writing styles that just groove with my heart, and then enjoying those authors. And then finally, I have to give props to Haruki Murakami and his book Norwegian Wood. After hearing Jen and Mercedes talk about Haruki Murakami so much, I really got interested in trying his work, and after reading Norwegian Wood, I am no longer so scared of the literary fiction genre, whereas before it seemed daunting and just like a barrel of haddock You don't know if you're going to pull out something good or something really slimy that you don't like and you spent money on. So now I'm not so scared, and Murakami is awesome. Question 5. What was the first literary prize winner that you read because it was a prize winner? I haven't had one of these yet. And I still don't have one lined up because I don't put much credence in awards, mostly because there aren't very many award categories that put value on things that match with my book taste as far as it goes at the moment. However, the first book that really got me to notice literary prizes was Anne Leckie's Ancillary Justice. It was nominated and won the Nebula and Hugo Awards for 2013. That was the first book that got me thinking that maybe literary awards were a thing that could be useful to me to finding something new to read. Number 6, what was the first piece of translated fiction that you read? The first piece of translated fiction that I read, I think, would have to be a collection of Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tales, translated by Pat Shaw Iverson. I will link down below my copy. Translated fiction only recently, within the last year, became something that I was really aware about, and something that I'm really eager to read more of, which prompted me to buy things like Norwegian Wood by Haruki Murakami. Also, you've seen in some of my past hauls, the Rabbitback Literature Society, the Book of Imaginary Beings. These are all works whose premises interested me, but the fact that they were translated really made me buy them. And since I had such fun with Norwegian Wood, I am certainly excited to get to the other two. Number 7, tell us why you decided to join Booktube and about your first experiences with recording and uploading a video. I have a private book club, as I keep mentioning in all of my videos. It's pretty awesome. And I don't remember why, but I decided that for a reveal of the books we were going to be reading in November, that I was going to film it and dress up and make shenanigans about it. It was a steampunk themed month. I happened to have a blouse that looked like a Victorian blouse and a pair of steampunk goggles lying around because I'm that sort of lady, and I had fun with it. I used all of the gadgets. There was a voiceover and text on screen and color filters. I really loved how editing it gave me a creative project to do, which wasn't writing my novel, because procrastination and yet feeling like you've accomplished something is better than cake sometimes. And so since I had to put that on YouTube for all of my gal pals to see because the file size was so large, I decided, hey, why don't I keep doing this and putting off writing? So I recorded an intro video and it was terrible and didn't work. There was not one clip longer than 4 seconds, so that it was just ridiculous. And so then I didn't redo it, but I filmed another one as the first video on my channel. It is still there, and it is called I Am an Introvert and a Woodland Squirrel. It's a video about introversion. I filmed that because being an introvert is key to my personality, and I thought that my potential viewership should know right off the bat what they were getting into. And that one I recorded on my old digital camera because at the time I didn't realize you could use things like QuickTime Player or photo booth to record things on your computer that had a increasingly better camera quality. So it was a bit janky and the sound was not good, but I still keep it up. I'm still pretty proud of it, and mostly proud of where I've come from there since then. In those early filmings, I distinctly remember the feeling of stage fright, but after I realized for a long time that it was only my friends and family who were watching it, it ended up not being that much of a problem. However, to this day, whenever I get my room together and set up to record, I get nervous and start sweating, but I'm still having so much fun procrastinating and not writing my novel, and I'm getting tons of ideas about things that I just want to share with you, that I haven't stopped. And I plan on continuing for the foreseeable future. In fact, my first year anniversary is coming up on Halloween. I don't think I'm gonna do anything special, but there you go. Have been doing it for a year and have been having so much fun. Thank you again to Lauren and Holly for one way or another bringing this tag into my life. Hello to all of my new subscribers. Welcome, and I hope you are enjoying your time here. I almost forgot. Who am I going to tag? Well, I would really like any of my viewers to do this tag video, and you don't even have to do a video response. If you want to answer one or two or all of the questions in the comment section below, I would love to hear your responses and get to know you just a little bit better. Thank you for watching, and until next time, continue to be lovely.